There is a kind of person who drifts quietly through the world. They don't move with the noise. They don't belong to the rhythm of the crowd. When you look at them, they seem detached. Not angry, not sad, simply distant, like a reflection of the sky in still water. They rarely speak first. They listen more than they talk. They watch more than they act. And they carry within them a silence that is both a shield and a home. Society calls them lonely, but loneliness is not quite the right word. What they experience is not the absence of people. It is the absence of noise that never felt like belonging. They walk through life differently. While most of us measure our worth through connection, attention, and validation, they have learned to exist without it. They've discovered a strange, quiet truth, that solitude, when accepted instead of resisted, becomes a doorway. It's not a void to escape, but a space to inhabit. When you spend long enough in silence, something happens inside you. The mind begins to rearrange itself. You start to hear thoughts you never had time to hear before. You begin to see the world as it is, stripped of projection, stripped of the need to be liked or seen. You stop chasing echoes. Most people never experience that kind of clarity. They run from it, terrified of the quiet. They fill their days with chatter, schedules, screens, and social obligations. Not because they love it, but because the silence would reveal too much. It would remind them how fragile their identities are when no one's watching. But those who have no friends or few, they face that silence daily. They've walked through its discomfort, through its mirror, through its truth. They've learned that being alone is not a failure of life. Sometimes, it's a mastery of it. Because friendship, for many, is a disguise. A place to hide from the fear of being forgotten. And when that disguise falls away, when the crowd disappears, what's left is raw existence. Unmasked, unfiltered, undeniable. That's where they live. They sit with thoughts most people avoid. They feel emotions others drown. They question things others take for granted. And in doing so, they uncover something essential. That life, in its deepest form, is not about constant companionship, but about awareness. Awareness of self, of the moment, of the quiet mystery beneath everything. It's not that they don't want connection. It's that they refuse to trade authenticity for it. They would rather walk alone in truth than walk with many in illusion. People misunderstand them. They call them cold, distant, antisocial. But what they really are is awake. They see through the patterns of small talk and superficial intimacy that most relationships revolve around. They sense when people speak just to fill the air, not to connect. They can feel the hollowness in a smile, the subtle tension behind polite laughter. This sensitivity can be painful, like living without skin. But it's also a gift. It allows them to perceive the undercurrent of life that others overlook. They notice the silence between words, the tremor behind confidence, the sadness in joy. They feel deeply, and because of that, they are easily misunderstood. But depth has always been misunderstood, because the world prefers surfaces. In solitude, they've learned patience. They've learned to wait, not for people but for clarity. To let emotions rise and fall like waves, without needing anyone to calm the storm. To understand that not all discomfort is danger. Sometimes it's transformation. People without friends often build entire universes inside themselves. They fill the space that others occupy with imagination, philosophy, creativity, and reflection. Where there is no noise, thought expands. And thought, when unchained from the crowd, becomes insight. This is why so many thinkers, writers, and artists walked alone. They weren't avoiding the world. They were listening to it more deeply. They needed distance to hear truth. Van Gogh painted his solitude. Kafka wrote letters to people he could never fully reach. Emily Dickinson spoke to eternity from behind her closed door. Thoreau escaped to the woods not because he hated society, but because he wanted to understand it. And maybe the friendless today carry that same spirit. A quiet rebellion against superficiality, a refusal to lose themselves in the noise. They are often accused of being strange, detached, or broken. But what if they are simply tuned to a different frequency? What if they see life not as a social competition, but as a spiritual inquiry? What if their distance is not a wound, but a perspective? Because when you have no one to perform for, you stop performing. You stop curating your existence for others to approve. And what's left is real. You start to ask different questions. What does happiness mean when no one is watching? Who am I when there's no audience? What is love without validation? Those who have no friends often discover that love, the truest kind, isn't always interpersonal. It's the love that arises when you make peace with your own being. It's not shared through conversation or touch, but through awareness, through compassion for yourself and others from afar. And so, in their quiet way, they become observers of humanity. Not above it, but beside it, like mirrors held up to what we've forgotten. They see how people chase each other endlessly for approval, how they fear rejection more than they fear meaninglessness. They watch how conversations become performances, how friendships become currency, and how silence becomes unbearable, because silence asks for truth. But those who walk alone have already faced that truth. They've looked into the eyes of their solitude and didn't turn away. They've learned that peace doesn't come from company, it comes from congruence. To be at peace with yourself, even when unseen, even when unloved, is the highest form of freedom. And in that freedom, they begin to see life differently. Without constant social feedback, they notice subtler forms of beauty. The rhythm of light across a wall, the sound of footsteps in the night, the way time bends when no one's speaking. They learn that presence doesn't require witnesses. There's a certain grace in that kind of life, a purity that modern society has forgotten. We've become addicted to visibility. To be unseen feels like death. But those who have no friends live proof that being unseen can also mean being untouched, free from the distortions of comparison and performance. Of course, their solitude isn't always easy. There are nights that feel endless, moments when silence becomes too heavy to bear. The heart still longs for warmth, for recognition, for a voice that says, "I see you." But in the absence of that, they find something else. They find resilience. They learn to sit with longing without letting it consume them. They learn to love quietly, to hope privately, to endure gracefully. And slowly, solitude transforms from emptiness into intimacy, an intimacy with life itself. Because when you stop needing people to complete you, you start noticing that you were never incomplete. You were simply distracted by noise. The psychology of those who have no friends is often misunderstood as detachment, when in truth, it is awareness. They've realized that connection is sacred, too sacred to waste on those who don't truly see. So they wait and they choose carefully. They value presence over popularity, truth over approval. And when they do connect, when a real soul crosses their path, it's not out of need but resonance. It's recognition, not relief. It's not, "Finally, I'm not alone," but "Finally, someone else understands." Until then, they remain faithful to their own silence. Because in that silence, they hear the pulse of something deeper, the quiet heartbeat of existence itself. People without friends are not broken. They are witnesses. Witnesses of what happens when the noise fades and the masks fall away. They've seen how fragile identity can be when built on belonging, and how strong it becomes when rooted in self-awareness. Maybe they don't laugh as loudly. Maybe they don't post as often. But inside them, entire worlds unfold. Worlds of thought, emotion, memory, and imagination. They live not through noise, but through depth. And perhaps in that depth, they've found what the rest of us are still looking for. Because life, when stripped to its essence, is not about how many people stand beside you. It's about how deeply you stand within yourself. To those who have no friends, you are not lesser. You are not invisible. You are not lost. You are a quiet chapter in the story of humanity, the part where stillness speaks and truth finally breathes. And maybe, just maybe, you understand life better than we do, because you've learned to see without applause, to love without possession, to walk without direction, and still find meaning in the journey. You've discovered that solitude is not the absence of love, but the space in which love learns to exist without conditions. You've learned that silence is not emptiness, but the echo of everything that matters. And you've seen that friendship, while beautiful, is not the only proof of a full life. Sometimes the most complete souls are the ones who learn to live whole, even when the world never noticed. So if you walk alone, walk proudly. You are not behind, you are ahead in ways the world cannot measure. You carry the strength of self-awareness, the clarity of solitude, and the wisdom of one who has faced themselves and survived. In the end, maybe friendship is not about numbers, but about truth. And maybe those who have no friends are simply those who refuse to trade truth for comfort. They walk quietly among us, the thinkers, the dreamers, the observers. They are the mirrors that remind us that peace doesn't come from the crowd, but from the calm within. So the next time you see someone sitting alone, don't assume they're lonely. Maybe they're listening to the world in a way you've forgotten. Maybe they're learning something we never stopped to hear. And if you are that person, if you've walked through seasons of silence, if you've known the ache of invisibility, if you've learned to find meaning in your own company, then you already know the truth of this. You are not missing out on life. You are in conversation with it, quietly, profoundly, endlessly. The world may never understand it, but maybe that's the point, because to live unseen, yet awake, is to see what others cannot. And maybe in that quiet, you've already found what we are all still searching for. If these words found you tonight, stay here for a moment. Breathe, reflect, and if you feel seen, let someone else know they're not alone. Because sometimes, even silence can echo with understanding.